up, guys? This is Andrew Smersek with Combat Training, and I'm here today with Don Edwards of Greenline Tactical, one of my favorite companies to train with. And he's going to be talking about Red Dot Pistol, a class we're going to be doing at Aries Training Facility in August that you should sign up for as well, with some prerequisites to that. So, Don, what is Red Dot Pistol all about?
All right. Well, it's all about understanding how to leverage this piece of gear on your gun and use it efficiently and effectively. Originally, when I came up with this, or when we first started shooting optics on pistols, I guess apparently it was easier for me to pick up than it was for a lot of people. So I was getting the question, hey, when are you gonna? I want to take a red dot pistol class from you. I was like, well, I don't do a red dot pistol class. Like, why would you want to take why do you need that? And I saw other people doing it, teaching these classes, and I was like, I don't understand why you need a class specifically about this.
It was like something you didn't appreciate.
Right.
Because it came easy. Yeah.
Right. The more I started listening and reading what people's concerns and complaints were, I was like, oh, okay, cool, let me think about this. And then I started realizing, okay, I just quickly got through those things and it didn't seem like a problem to me. So we came up with this course of instruction, and it's 2 days, and what I think it really does is it shortens the learning curve, or as you might say, it's the cheat code.
Right.
Because you could take 5,000 or 10,000 rounds of ammo and constantly going out to the range, and you could probably figure this out. Yeah. Or you could spend a weekend with us and we can show you some certain things and run you through a series of drills and exercises to where you'll be like, okay, cool, I got this. And that's kind of what it's for, is people who are new to putting an optic on their pistol, especially guys who have been shooting with iron sights for decades, for years and years and years and years. Because there are some habits that, I wouldn't say bad habits, I would say habits that you want to change. Ways that you shoot and ways that you present the gun that you want to change, right? And once you do that, you'll also probably see that your iron sight shooting gets better too. So that's kind of like where this came from. We get a lot of people who are still, we get newer shooters nowadays. I have generations of shooters who almost only have ever shot with a dot, but they're not quite there yet. So this is also for them. This is not a beginner course.
Right.
We do get people who are, somewhat novice shooters. They're drinking from a fire hose. It's okay for them if the class is small. We have more individual attention time and stuff like that. But if the class is large and you're not a very experienced pistol shooter, then you're definitely gonna be drinking from a fire hose.
So they should probably be good at, you should have the 4 firearm safety rules memorized. Okay. That drives me nuts when people.
Yeah. I mean, you should have safe gun handling skills and all that, but
draw stroke, reloads, clear malfunctions.
Yeah, you should be able to shoot and hit your target, and basically this shouldn't be the first pistol course you've ever taken, right? You should have taken at least 1 or 2 at some point prior to this. Not that we're not going to go over basics, but this class progresses pretty quickly. Once everybody starts to see what I'm talking about, it quickly becomes into an intermediate to intermediate plus level when it comes to skill, to shooting skill. So, because the things that this dot on the pistol brings to the table there are a lot of things. The ability to zero it, the ability to make hits, the ability to shoot fast and accurate at the same time, right? And the ability to diagnose your shot the instant the gun goes off. So you're seeing things, you're getting feedback from this pistol as soon as the gun goes bang. For example, if that red dot dips low and left, if you're a right-hand shooter, if that dot goes bloop, down and left, the instant the gun goes off, or right as the gun's about to go off, guess what happened? You jerk the trigger. You jerk the trigger, right? You know that. You didn't have to look at the target and see where'd I hit. The bullet went exactly where the dot was, and when the gun went bang. That's what happened. So as we progress through this, now you're fixing that on the fly. You're seeing what's going on. You're seeing what what the dot is telling you. It's telling you a story the whole time. It's dancing around on the target. How well you control the gun and how well you pull the trigger without moving the gun determines whether those are hits or not.
So what are some of the things, like when you were originally coming up with this class, that you're like, these are the things that people are experiencing and that we have to try to fix? The learning curve, if you will.
Right, so the two big things that helps most people is don't dip your chin down. So we're so used to driving the gun out, and as tactical or defensive shooters, we're gonna roll our shoulders in and we kind of dip down. Some people call it the tactical turtle or whatever, if you're making fun of people. But we have a tendency to hunch, right? And now, not only am I not using the center of my eye socket, I'm looking like this, which is very uncomfortable and not very efficient. If I lift my chin up, I'm looking straight out, right? And what I want to do is I want to look directly at the back of this optic. So this optic should be straight in line with my line of sight, right? So the two things I want to have is I want my line of sight directly at my threat, and then I want to bring the gun up and into my line of sight so that I can see directly at the back. One of the habits that iron sight shooters have is elevating that front sight post so you can see it and sell it down into the rear notch, right? That's a technique for finding the dot, but guys who say, oh, I'm fishing for the dot all the time, I can't find the dot. Well, here's a clue. If you can't see the dot, guess what? Your iron sights are also not aligned. So you don't have sight alignment either. So we're fixing presentation.
Right.
So we're giving ourselves a better quality, more efficient presentation so that we see that dot, right? So those are the two things. Driving the gun straight at the target so that the back of the optic, back of the glass is at a 90-degree angle to our line of sight. So bring it up and into our line of sight as we drive the gun out to the target. That's gonna help us see that dot sooner. The sooner we see it, the sooner we can start to actually drive that dot directly to the spot we want to hit and break the shot. Right?
So yeah, just presentation is that's usually where people they draw it and they're like, what? And they do this thing with their wrist till they can find it.
Right. So once people, I'd say by noon on day one, we're doing, it becomes a very, very more technical class when it comes to skills. We're starting to get into performance shooting and stuff like that, really. So it's not, yes, it's a defensive shooting course and the context is always gunfighting, but this is a very much a skills-based course. More
detailed and
more like, because it's one thing to be able to run around and fight with a gun, but if you're not making solid hits, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
You're just sending lead downrange.
Right. Liabilities down.
Well, liability, but not just liability. I'm worried less about that, and I'm worried about, am I even stopping this threat?
Right.
Because if I'm just shooting him in the leg, shooting him in the arm, and stuff like that, I'm not really doing anything to degrade this dude's trying to kill you.
Right.
You should probably do something about that. And just slinging lead without putting it right in the heart or the face isn't really going to do a whole lot for you.
Right. So, and one thing I'll say about that too is it is going into those finer details, working on your presentation, your draw stroke, and like Don was talking about, being able to diagnose based off of what the dot is doing. That will make you better overall. Anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have to carry a red dot. Right now, I'm not carrying a red dot simply because I need a second one, so I have a range gun and a carry gun. That's just my SOP. But shooting a whole bunch of the red dot made me way better. Presentation's better. I can make more accurate shots. Another thing I want to ask about too is did you often get complaints about guys saying oh, that thing is moving like crazy?
Every once in a while, but you just point out that it's you moving the gun. Your front sight post was doing the same thing before.
Right, exactly.
Right, that's the truth. If it moves when you pull the trigger, it's because you jerked the trigger, or you weren't holding the gun firm enough. And my overall premise with the optic is, because a lot of guys are saying, well, it's really good for shooting accurately at distance, and that's not what we want with a defensive pistol. I'm like, I promise you that by the end of the first day, I will have you shooting at least as fast as or more accurately than you were shooting before at the same speed. Which means I can speed you up and you can shoot just as accurately as you were before. Right? So it does make you faster. It does give you the ability to shoot faster at closer distances. If you're so close you didn't need sights at all, then yeah, you didn't need iron sights either.
Yeah.
Right, so that's different. But as soon as you see that dot, if it's anywhere that your brain says pull the trigger, then pull the trigger. And you get to decide. And it's so much easier to see, and it's faster to shoot. There's so many things that it brings to the table. Like I've said in our other video, all the stuff that it brings to the table for rifles and carbines and in a CQB environment, it brings to the table on a pistol. The ability to look at your threat, to identify the threat, not have to change the focus of your vision from target to front sight post, right? I don't have to look for a front sight post. I can see the threat, I can put the red thing on the threat and pull the trigger. And I can do it over and over and over again as quickly and as soon as I can, as well as I can control the gun. If I can control the gun well enough, I can pull the trigger faster and sooner, right? So all of those things make these tailor-made for defensive shooting.
Awesome. So red dot pistol in August at Area Strength Facility. You also have a red dot instructor course?
We have a red dot instructor course. There isn't one on the calendar. It's a little bit more expensive. It's pretty intense. You have to qualify.
Okay, good.
It's a graduate or didn't graduate kind of course.
Okay.
So you can get a certificate of attendance or a certificate of completion at the end of it. And there's a lot of classroom involved in that. We actually teach you how to properly mount these things and all of that. And there's a lot of take-home material as well.
Awesome. I'll be wanting to take that too.
Well, let's find a way to schedule one.
All right. Well, thank you, Don. You guys go to greenlinetactical.com, sign up for a course, subscribe to their YouTube channels, follow them on Instagram. All of those links are in the description. We did 2 other videos with Don, and we've done others in the past, so check those out as well. Keep fighting communism, and remember that training saves lives.